Hello, everyone, and welcome to the weekly edition of Wisdom Seeker Live podcast. I'm very glad that you will join us today, and we are going to have an interesting conversation about a topic that can sometimes be challenging but always very rewarding. Look forward to spending about an hour with everyone and hopefully seeking and gaining some wisdom today together. Um, I like to always start by sharing about what wisdom means to this podcast. And wisdom is a journey. It's a journey that is 3 steps in process. And the journey starts with gaining knowledge, which is something that hopefully we're gaining on a regular basis, sometimes formally, sometimes informally, but hopefully learning something new each day. And the challenge is that knowledge is not the end point, but it is the beginning point. And we need to be aware that to just stop with knowledge is going to create problems for us if we're not very careful. So, the second step in this process is gaining understanding. Understanding, of course, is where we begin to take the knowledge we've gained and internalize it, make it real to our lives, and to apply it and use it, hopefully in a good way, to help us to learn and grow and become better at who and what we are. And the third step in this process, and is a key step, is going from knowledge and understanding to wisdom. And the difference between them, between wisdom and our understanding and our knowledge, is that wisdom is seeing life, our life, others' lives, and the world around us from a much bigger perspective, looking at things outside of ourselves, seeing how our use of our knowledge and our use of our understanding affects not just us, but others and the world around us. And for those of us that have a spiritual bent and that are focused in that area, the goal is that we want to be able to see things through God's eyes. And when we can see things through God's eyes, we have truly begun to gain wisdom and reap the benefits of that wisdom. So I hope that you will join us. Please feel free to engage and offer input and thoughts as we go along. And I always like to recognize those of you that are participating. Denise, welcome aboard. Zaid, it's always good to see you. Rick, good to see you as well. And Adhikar, you as well. It's always nice to have everyone here participating, engaging, because that makes the podcast much more interesting than just me talking. And we gain a lot more wisdom when more of you engage. So the topic today is a little bit of a unique one, and it is a challenging one, and it's the topic of love. Love is an interesting concept. It's a much used word, and not always sure that when people use the word as to what they mean by it. And as a result of unclarity in the meaning, it causes us difficulty in terms of the setting that it is used in. And so I want us to talk about today understanding what it means to love. Love things, love people, love each other, and so on. And want us to consider gaining wisdom in how to both use the word and to participate in loving others. And that is something that I believe is sorely needed in our culture today. And that is love, real love, in terms of our relationships. So, first of all, let's talk about what love is. We use the word that we love our pets and we love nature, we love our car, we love our football team, we love our family, we love significant others, we love ourselves. We love, we love, we love. And quite often, we don't distinguish or even understand the different facets of what love is. It's something that we should all really consider as we start using the word. What is the implications of it? And how do we use the word wisely? Welcome, Eunice. Always good to see you. So, love, and in the American language, I don't say English language because the American language is quite a combination or a melting pot of languages, much like our people are a melting pot. And our language, the American language, is not real concise, especially when it comes to the word love. Good morning, Lee. Glad to have you with us. Good to see you. So, the concepts of love in other languages is a little more clearly defined and uses different words than just one to identify love. So, what are some of the different forms of love that is out there? One of them that is very familiar is based in the word phileo, such as in Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. And it is love is affection towards others in a brotherly fashion, like family, and used to express those affections and consider our relationship in that regard. Another term that is, again, a little more concise is the term eros, and it is a root word for romantic or erotic love, and it is meaning a love for someone that goes beyond brotherly relationships, sisterly relationships. It is about romantic connection, and in extreme cases, it can be, unfortunately, applied in a bad fashion and an unhealthy fashion, but it is different than phileo love, and it is a unique version of love. And then another version of the word love is agape, which is a form of godly love or unconditional love. And agape love is something that we should all strive towards, to have towards humanity, and have towards, hopefully, family in particular. And so the big thing here is to recognize that love is not a singular word, meaning a singular expression, something that we should become very intentional in understanding, because we use the word quite often. I think it's overused and in some ways and underused in others. And so we'll kind of break this down. We'll talk about it, and hopefully we'll gain some wisdom and insight into the concept and expression of love, where it's appropriate and how it should be handled, and so on. Welcome, Lydia. And Ebenezer and Dr. Vimla, glad to have all of you as well. Look forward to hearing your thoughts. So let's go ahead and get some thoughts out here from you guys, and then we will take it forward from there. Lee asked, what's the opposite of love? It's not hate, it's indifference. I agree with you wholeheartedly, Lee. Love is in part, and I'm careful to say in part, an emotion. And to have an emotion of hate is not indeed the opposite or the antithesis to it, but rather, as you say, indifference. And neutrality of emotion is really the opposite. And it is a place that people get. And if you're in relationship and you are beginning to feel neutral towards someone, then your relationship is going to be challenged. Let's see here. Zaid offers, love is a feeling, but it's also an act. And the act to me is about sacrifice. Indeed, Zaid, love is about sacrifice, and it is an act. Now, what our challenge is, there is a feeling involved in love. But what we have to be careful of is waiting on the feeling to appear before we act. Whereas the real crux of love is about acting in accordance with proper behaviors and communication and actions towards people. And that means that it is a more of a choice than it is a feeling, in my opinion. Does the feeling come along? Of course it does. When you demonstrate love to people and act on your love towards someone, especially with that sacrifice, and then you see them respond to it and are moved and inspired by it, yeah, it generates really great feelings. And just like if we sacrifice and give love to others and it's rejected or taken for granted, or even, I don't know, not received well, there are other emotions that come along that are very powerful and painful, in fact. Let's see here. Eunice makes a comment. Love can only have an effect in practice. Greetings, everyone. Let me make sure that, yes, that is Eunice. I just like to make sure to attribute correctly. And you're right. Love has to be in practice to be effective, and that is where it's key. So often in our culture, unfortunately, we have come to a place where we look more for the feeling than we do for the choice to behave towards others with love. And it's something that we really need to consider. Let's see here. I want to make sure again that I don't miss any comments. Rick makes a comment. Do we take the term self-love to an extreme? Do we forget others when we practice this? Rick, you raise a great, important point, and that is, first of all, learning what love means. And the second thing is to learn that we must have self-love, but not to become selfish. We have to have self-love. And for those of you that know, I look at the Bible for a lot of wisdom, and I hope you'll consider it as well. And whether you agree with the faith tenets or not, there's a lot of wisdom. And one of the commandments of the Bible is considered the top commandment, and that is to love God with all our heart. And the other part that goes with it is to love our neighbor as ourselves. And so it's very clear in that wisdom that we must love ourselves to be able to love others. Now, there is a bit of a caveat there. The loving ourselves is tempered by understanding that we are loving who we are created to be, not necessarily loving everything we do, not necessarily loving all our behaviors, but rather love the fact that our Creator has made us with amazing value that can't be taken away, can't be lost, can't be changed. And understanding that and loving ourselves in that regard, but which also is love towards our Creator, is very critical. Because if we do not do that, then we will find it difficult, if not impossible, to love other people. It's a principle of wisdom, and that we must indeed consider. So just really think those through. Part of what I hope today is we have awareness so that we can understand this term love and the implications of what we say and how we say it and to whom or what we say it. Muhammad, welcome aboard. Glad to have you with us. And Muhammad asked a question: love is blind? And at times it can be, Muhammad. And at times, if it is unconditional love, it can seem to be blind. What happens, though, is that what appears to be blindness is actually a choice to love others in a way that it is without condition. In other words, we love them because of who they are and who they are created to be. And in some cases, that love appears to be blind. And in some cases, people are truly blinded by love. And I think, unfortunately, it's more in that case about an emotion and overcome by that emotion rather than an understanding and a choice. But we want love at times to seem blind because we want to be able to love unconditionally. That is so important, so valuable, and unfortunately lacking in our culture. We talk of love, but it's generally motivated by some selfish reason or motivation, and can be a real problem if we're not careful. So also Muhammad asked the question, love is selfish. Again, we have to get into some word definition, and we have to consider what we mean by selfish. Love can be motivated through selfishness, but certainly better when it's not, because selfish love can become a problem in relationships. It can become harmful and even hurtful, and actually work opposite of what love is intended to be and do. So can it be selfish? Unfortunately, it can at times. And is it always? Not necessarily. And so we just really need to think about that. Muhammad makes a comment that love is a feeling, how you enjoy it. Love, again, is a feeling, but that's a byproduct. Real love that is especially the agape love or unconditional love, many, many, many times is a choice, because there are times when we have to, or in my case, it's part of the tenet of my faith that I love everyone. And that's a challenge, because I do make a choice to love everyone, but there are times that I don't like what people do, and I still must love them, but I don't have to like their behaviors always. In the same way, I have to love who I am created to be, but I'm not always happy with some of my behaviors and my choices. So it's a consistent piece that's out there. And Rick makes a comment that sometimes we tough love, and that is indeed a uh, a concept, and it's an important concept if we're going to truly be selfless in our love, because there are times that to truly love people, that we need to be willing to we need to be willing to risk that our love and how we behave through that love can actually cause people to reject us. And that's another tough concept about love. And in those cases, it can be harmful, not harmful, but it can be hurtful. Tough love has a place in our lives, and especially as parents and grandparents and family members, being able to choose and act on tough love is something we need to be able to do at times. By the same token, by the way, there are times where our love has to be full of unbridled compassion for people and have no uh, expectations other than being there and being available and supporting people. The key that we need to learn about all of this is there's not one answer for love in every situation. That's the hard part. I love to would love to find formulas that we can plug in and say, well, in this situation, this is how we love people. And they're not there. And I think that's by design. And I think that it is important that we understand it. That's part of why there is value in us seeking wisdom, because as we gain wisdom, we begin to have a greater understanding of love and a greater understanding of how to apply, how to choose to love people. And I appreciate that we talk about loving our cars and our homes and things like that. I think that's more of an emotional expression, or should be, rather than a choice, because those things will fade and go away. And so we have to be careful about what we express and even invest our love into. Another comment Lee makes is, unfortunately, many people struggle with loving themselves, and we talk about it as self esteem. Lee, it is a very pervasive problem, and that we have many people that have not learned that their value is not through other things, that their value is solely coming from our Creator. And I have a quote that I talk about, and that quote is that love, I'm sorry, we are created with great value. It's given to us by our Creator. We don't earn it, so we can't lose it. Others don't give it to us, so they can't take it away. Our Creator gives it to us and won't take it away because of the love that our Creator has for us. And when we truly learn to embrace that love, and again, I use the term cautiously, but self-love, to a point that we can have confidence in our value as a person, it is a huge game changer for us to help us to be free then to be, excuse me, who we are designed to be by our Creator. Welcome, Jeremy. Glad to have you with us as always. Let's see, keep moving along. Dr. Vimla comments, I agree with this wisdom. You have to love yourself first, then only you can share it with others. Indeed, learning to love ourselves is, again, not self-centeredness, not selfishness, but recognizing the great value that God, who loves us, has given us, and accepting that as a not any a non-changeable fact. It is immutable. It is indeed true, and the more that we can learn to understand in that fashion and love ourselves as a created being by our Creator, then we are able to freely love others. In fact, if we want to talk about it, part of the problem that we have with conflict now is so many people do not love who they are created to be, and they struggle with that. And as a result, there are a lot of time spent in relationships on the defensive, reacting to people rather than responding. Take care, Lee. Glad you stopped in. And so we really need to understand this. And the part of the question is, does love have a place in the business world? It better. It better, because it is part of who we are made, and we must operate in that love in order to be effective in relationships. And effective relationships are key to successful business. Lydia shares real love is the action of choice. It is indeed a choice. And there, if you want to read some insight into what real love is about, it's real interesting in the Bible, and talks about it in 1 Corinthians 13. Good opportunity to go and read and get perspective, because it's very insightful about it. And the love described there is indeed about a choice, and a choice that we make whether or not we have feelings already. Most times when we choose to truly love others, the feelings come along and they're mutually shared. So don't want to discount the feelings, but it's not, love should not be driven by feelings. Love should be chosen, and then we can enjoy the great feelings that are a byproduct of it. And indeed, Dr. Vimla, pure love is selfless and unconditional. And that's hard, because it's hard to let go of, well, what's in it for me if I love someone else? And if you've ever been in a relationship where you've had to practice selfless love, it's hard. And quite often it is with people that we struggle to get along with, and that may not do what feels good to us. And it's a hard one. But the more we learn to walk and live unconditional love, ultimately the happier we are, and the better off the world is as a result of that choice. Lydia comments, tough love involves discipline. Indeed, if a parent truly loves their children, they will, at moments of necessity, have to carry out discipline. And it is necessary for the benefit of the child. It's not for our benefit as parents, other than we want the best for our children. And part of that means disciplining them at times when emotionally it's actually difficult, even painful, to express that love. So, love again will elicit a lot of emotion, but it's not always warm, fuzzy feelings as well. Uh, and let's see. And Lydia's comment, love is within us in our inner soul. Yes, love originates as part of the real us. And it, again, is a choice. And what happens is, like other choices, as we continue to make them, then it becomes a part of us. It becomes a unconscious response. I don't like the word habit, but habits are good, and love should be a habit that we have on an ongoing basis, so that we are connecting and relating with people on different levels of love. And what the more of what we do, if we base it in love, the better off our relationships are, and frankly, better off our world is better off as a result. And so it is important, again, to understand love and realize that it has value in all areas of our life. And Lydia makes the comment, real love is to love the unlovable. Indeed, one of the things that, as a principle from the Bible, is that we are to love everyone, including our enemies, people that would seek to harm us. And there are some that would say, okay, that's foolish and stupid and so on. But at the end of the day, it is the heart of real love, is to be able to love a person, and even when we don't like what they are doing. And that is where you find out about whether or not you are really truly loving others. And it is such a key part. Let's see. Our soul is part of our Creator, filled with an ocean of love. I feel love is God and God is love. Love is the character of God. And that is something that is so important to understand. Part of the reason that people reject God or don't believe there is a God is they don't believe that God is love, that there is that character there. And it is key, though, to understand that God is actually the embodiment of love. That's why what is done by God for us, and if you will, to us, is always motivated in love, even when we don't understand it or feel the emotion, the warm, fuzzy emotion related to love, because we think it is wrong motivated. And we have to understand that because God's character is love, it has no other way of being and doing, even when we don't understand it, even when we're not sure about the motivation. We have to rest in that motivation and character. Let's see here. Muhammad comments, true love is with God and with family. Those are the places where some of our highest expression of love is towards God and with our relationship with God. And by design, our family is part of that as part of creation. It's all part of how it's meant to be. Okay, let's see. Jeremy makes a comment. Love is a strong force that can be a driving factor in life and in business. However, one must be aware that expressing love in work can get you into legal issues, especially in the workplace, because others may mistake it as a form of sexual harassment. Unfortunately, we live in a time where uh, people have abused relationships and expressed things and acted on things poorly. And as a result, is created harm to the ability to demonstrate love to others. And yes, we have to be cautious. One of the key things, though, and this is important to understand, is that if we express love to everyone and do so in a consistent fashion, then we take out the potential for sexual harassment and those kinds of challenges and charges. Again, we need wisdom, because there are people that if you express love, even unconditional agape style love, that they will have a problem. And at that point, that's where wisdom comes in to know where and when to express that love. And for that matter, one of the challenges and one of the places we need wisdom is expressing love towards family, expressing love towards our friends, and especially in our relationships with our significant others, spouses, or whomever, because expression of love, it is a choice, but we don't all communicate in the same way in regards to love. And there are books out about it, and they're worth considering. But understand that the way that I receive love or affection, I believe someone mentioned in the audience about affection, the way I receive affection and get satisfaction from it is not the same as others necessarily. In fact, sometimes if we're not careful, we may, with the best of intentions, try to express love towards other people, but we do it in such a way that it's based on our own means and ways of receiving love, and it can actually not only not express love and affection that we're trying to, it can actually create a friction or a problem, because it is not the way that that person receives love or feels that expression of love. So the topic of love is something that we need to take time to understand and be aware of. And we need to take time to understand how it is involved in all of the different types of relationships. And be sure to make love choices appropriate to the type of love relationships we have. Again, it's really interesting, and this is something that I struggle with even today, is to tell people that I love them. And the tendency is to want to try to express love and then explain it. And that's uncomfortable. At the end of the day, we have to be willing to express love with the understanding that we might be misunderstood. And as a result, we need a great deal of wisdom of how we go about doing that. Love is expressed also, one of the means or ways that people receive love and express love is by physical contact. And that doesn't necessarily mean romantic love and physical contact, but rather brotherly love. And so, again, it's all part of a process of gaining wisdom how and where and when to take a choice or make a choice to express love to other people. And that is something that's part of the reason that we're talking about this today, is to begin to really try to understand and to consider to how to express love in a clear and understandable way. The alternative, and some people have chosen just to say, well, I'm not going to show love to anybody. It's too dangerous, too risky, and that's not a good choice, because part of our very design is to be loved and to love. And when we choose not to love or express love, we are creating an unhealthy situation for ourselves. And it's a real problem. So, the question about is love appropriate in the workplace? Indeed, it is. Now, how we express it, how we handle it, and how we react to it takes a great deal of wisdom, especially now, as Jeremy pointed out, that some people can misconstrue an expression of love as being, when we intend it to be brotherly love, and they take it as being romantic love. And that is a problem. And that's why I wish that we had a way to be more clear with our words in terms of love, because we, again, try to communicate and demonstrate love that is appropriate, but it is taken as inappropriate. And that is a big challenge that we face. That's why we need lots of wisdom in regards to the concept, the word, and the action of love. Muhammad makes a comment that God loves 70 times more than mother. It's a good expression of the depth of love that God has for us, because what's really interesting, the God loves us more than we can love ourselves, or more than anyone else in our life. And it's important to really grasp that and hold on to it, because it is that understanding and that belief that will help us get through a lot of challenges and hold on to hope. Welcome, Coral. Glad to have you with us. Coral makes a comment that with love, there's great wisdom. They are connected, indeed. If we truly want to gain wisdom, we've got to understand how to love people. I go back to the basic principle of design, that we are designed to love each other. In other words, love everybody. Now, again, how that love is expressed and what emotion goes with it and the other parts is the real challenge, because we're not to have designed to have romantic love with everybody. In fact, romantic love is going to be healthiest when it's restricted to a certain relationship primarily. Excuse me. And understanding the difference is important. But agape love, unconditional love, is universal, and we should have that towards everyone. And the more we can, as Coral comments, the greater the wisdom we can gain, because part of the wisdom is gained through relationships, not just any relationship, but healthy relationships. That includes and starts with a healthy relationship with our Creator, and then goes from there. And that must include a healthy love for who we are and have been created to be. All very key part of it. And so I hope you begin, if nothing else has happened today, that you are aware of a couple of things. One, love is not something that we can turn on and off or choose to not participate. I take that back. We can do that, but we will not be healthy. If we say, well, the easiest thing is just not to love people or express love for people because it's somebody could take it wrong or get upset or I could get rejected, whatever. That is not the way we are made. And to choose not to express love and not to have love towards ourselves and others is unhealthy and will create problems. With that in mind, though, we need to make sure that we're wise in our approach and our expression of love and how we share that with others. What I suggest to people is that you consider not using the word love quite so much. Be judicious in love and use of the word love. In fact, I would suggest that more times than not, that the better way to express love is through our actions and our attitudes, not necessarily just our word. Please understand there are times, places, and it is important we express the word love with others, but we do better to show that love. And how we show love is more clear than just saying we love someone. If we demonstrate love for someone by helping them in a time of need, that is much clearer than just saying we love you. So again, we've got to be very wise in how we approach the concept of love, but to choose to not express love because it's complicated or uncomfortable or could be taken wrong is unhealthy. And when we do it, we suffer as well as those around us. And we just need to learn how to walk wisely in it. Let's see. Muhammad makes comment, people's love with their city and people love with their country. We express that quite often. I love my country. I love where I live. We express it in other ways. I love my football team, my basketball, baseball, soccer, whatever sports team. We love our dog. We love our cat, and so on. In many ways, we express love. And I think that as we grow in wisdom, one of the areas of wisdom that we need is how to express love and do it more with our actions and attitudes than with our words. Because the other problem that we have is when we talk about, well, I love my football team, but oh, by the way, I love you. You go, that kind of takes away from the value of what your expression of love to others, because it cheapens it. If you love everything if you love everything as well as theoretically loving everybody, it becomes cheap, because love by design is not designed for things. Love is designed as a relationship glue, if you will, with other human beings. And when we are using the word love too freely and loving things, including loving money, loving wealth, loving whatever, it really, if we're not careful, cheapens the value of our love when it comes to loving people. And that is the critical piece, is to love people. We can like things, enjoy things, get a sense of good feeling from things, but our love is actually for each other. And it is to be expressed depending on the relationship, in accordance with that relationship in an appropriate fashion. Lydia makes the comment, love for humanity beyond diversity in cultures. Again, the key, and this is funny because we think diversity and inclusion in things is a new concept. It really isn't. For those of us that have tenets of faith based in the Bible, love has been around forever, and love is for everybody. There are no exceptions, whether they are our friend, our family, or even our enemy. We are directed to love everyone. And the reason that we are given that is not to make it hard, but rather to make it healthy. And when we get wisdom and guidance, it is designed to help our life to ultimately be lived well and lived in a way that leads to abundance. And that is part of our design as well, is to live abundantly. And the greatest abundance is experiencing God's love, our Creator's love, plus the love of our fellow human beings in the appropriate ways and the appropriate relationships. And the more we can do that, the more abundant life becomes for us. But it all starts with understanding what love is, understanding how to express love in appropriate and healthy fashions, and understanding that we are designed to love everyone around us. And Muhammad's comment is that we are all God's creatures, so love all. Indeed. And if go back though to the principle, if we don't learn to love who we are created to be, we're going to have difficulty, if not impossibility, of being able to love others as created by God. And understand that love doesn't mean that we like what someone is doing at a given point. And in any of you that have been in relationships, especially romantic relationships for long term, know there are times where in those relationships we love the person very much, but at that moment we may not like what they are doing or how they are acting, but we still love them. And that's where wisdom comes in. That's where commitment is part of it. But it's all key to truly living as humans in an abundant way. If we talk about peace, we are never going to have peace in our life if we do not grasp and practice the concept of love. They are part and parcel together in being at peace or contentedness. And the more we learn about love and the value and how to express it and how to receive it, the healthier we're going to be individually, as a community, and as a culture. And that is what I really hope and pray out of today, that each of us will begin to understand more about what love is, also what it is not, and then understanding ways to express the appropriate type of love in the right situations with the right people. One of the things I think that will help us is to stop talking about loving things, because we aren't designed to love things. We're designed to love people, love each other. And when we start loving things, then we get off track. It's really remarkable to me that there are people that will get in fights because they love their sports team, and somebody speaks against their sports team, and the person takes an offense at it, and that's unfortunate because it's not necessary to do so. Because we shouldn't be loving things. We should be loving people. We can like things, we can enjoy things, but we aren't designed to love things. We're designed to love each other. So, thanks everyone for the comments. They're really great. I'm encouraged to think that there are a number of people out there that get the concept of love, recognize the value of proper expression of love in all situations, whether it is personal, whether it is business, whatever. The more that we can understand love, learn how to express it well and to the right, in the right way to the right people, the better off we're going to be personally and work-wise. If we learn to have love as part of our culture at work, it overcomes a lot of difficulties, a lot of issues that don't have to be there. Again, with wisdom, because as Jeremy points out, incorrectly expressed love can be misconstrued as something else. Jeremy makes a comment: loving others shows support and can make a difference in the lives of those who lack love, and assists those who are in dark place that need that love to get through those dark times. Indeed, part of the value of love is knowing that we are loved. And part of the way that we know of our Creator's love is that we express that love to each other. And when we do that, we are in a much better place to work through those dark places and do so without feeling hopeless. So important. So as we go, my prayer is that we all begin to get a better understanding of love, what it means. Also, how do we express it wisely, and become determined to express it and to love each other and everyone, and not be focused on loving things. So thank you, everyone. Great comments, great engagement. I hope that when you go away today, that the question that I started with is, what's love got to do with it? Love is what it's all about, and it has to do with everything done wisely. So thank you, everyone. Have a blessed week. I hope that you begin to learn how to choose and walk in love, because as you do, you will also walk in love from others as well. Take care. We'll see you next week, next Monday morning at 8 o'clock. And I hope everyone has adjusted to the time change here in the U.S. Take care, everyone. Bye.